The ostrich, as you know, is a large flightless bird. That said, nobody likes to be typecast. So you'd imagine that somewhere some ostrich might look up at the sky at birds of flight and start to get ideas. Well, that's the concept behind a new commercial for a chocolate company that don't want to be typecast either.
It's imagination which flew on the new Cadbury dairy milk commercial. Drawing a parallel to the joy experienced when biting into this famous product, the agency's crew ended up building aeroplanes, working with Emily, the Meryl Streep of ostriches, and creating a mechanical 130-kilogram flying feather duster.
Storyline is, I think, in keeping with the brand message of a glass and a half full production, which is people or creatures or objects getting to achieve things in their lives that are basically impossible. And in this instance, it's an ostrich that gets to fly.
We formed this concept, which is all about, coming up with ideas which dramatize the feeling of joy, the same joy that you have when you're eating this wonderful chocolate. And so we've come up with a series of ads which each one dramatizes in their own way the joy of chocolate.
That was at the heart of the commercial. We wanted that joy to come through, and we wanted it to be big and impactful. So we don't have to tell consumers about the taste of the brand or how special the brand is, because they already know that. We want to really mirror the special experience of actually eating the brand. So the joy is the message that had to come through, and that is the message that does come through really effectively.
The star attractions were raised by the world-renowned and dry-humoured animal wrangler Luke Cornell. The problem was, the ladies were nesting, so were not quite as engaging as usual.
Well, if the star doesn't want to come to me, I'm going to go to the star. So, who's the actual star of this commercial?
This is Emily over here. She's the star, and that's her body double in the background, Dixie.
Nice to meet you, yeah? Well, this is absolute paradise. I mean, look at this roaming space.
Yeah, they've got 80 hectares to roam in, so they're not kept in little boxes.
Luke, how do you go about training an ostrich? I mean, they're not exactly renowned for their intelligence.
Basically, you need to familiarize them with people. We try and raise them and have a daily interaction with them. So they get to know your voice, they get to know your cues. If you call them, they come. It's basically spending a lot of time getting their trust.
In terms of animal rights, were the animals well looked after?
Absolutely. We have an Animal Anti-Cruelty League inspector with us on set who keeps a record of working hours and conditions. But on top of that, they're my animals, and if you don't have happy, healthy animals, they don't work very well.
So where does the actual star begin and end in terms of the animatronics also used?
The actual cutting point of real ostrich to prosthetic ostrich is as she's leapt out the door. The jumping shot's done live, and then what's used in post, the prosthetics used in post for the top shots looking down at the model.
What are the working conditions like on set for the animals?
We introduced them to set on the pre-light day so that they could see all the lights and what the construction was like. We walked them up into the fuselage to settle them there so that, when we started to shoot, it wasn't a complete surprise. And what happens if the birds get hot, they gape, and it looks really ugly and it looks like you're abusing them. So we had an aircon unit running on the set to keep the ambient temperature down.
So they do have a run in their contracts. Perfect temperature.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Nice transport, good food.
You need to hook me up with their agents.
Absolutely, that's me.
How did you manage to get such a sexy, sultry performance out of Emily?
Well, she takes it from her trainers, I think. But in effect, a lot of that was shot at a high frame rate, which exacerbates all the emotion and everything in the face,
So what is the range of emotions that Emily can actually show?
Ostrich, and an ostrich.
Very versatile actress. Do you think it would be possible to do an exclusive interview?
Oh, she's love to, yeah.
Okay, great. Lucky can I have the microphone. Thanks. So, Emily, what was it like working on such a big set?
Working with animals as diverse as lions and zebras, ants and puff adders, Luke says these inquisitive birds are the most rewarding.
She says she worked with a very supportive crew, so she managed to get the best out of her performances. Emily, how did you manage to have such a range of really emotional looks on screen?
Could Meryl Streep be more accommodating?
She says she'd prefer not to talk about her acting method. Thanks, Emily. Thank you very much for chatting to Top Billing.
Luke's a proud dad, and with those eyes, who wouldn't be?
Remember, if you spot the top hat, you could win one of 10 Sweet Tooth jackpots.